Welcome to another NUCIDA video. If you like it, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell. Never forget our upcoming sessions. If you have any questions or hints, please leave a comment. Our certified QA experts will reply in time. The X-Ray gives you the freedom to manage your work systematically, organizing it into folders, and putting them together with certain expectations or certain objectives. But the same thing is being done with Excel sheets. You may have any number of Excel sheets within an Excel file, or you can have many numbers of Excel files, which could be lying here and there in different folders within your File Explorer. Now, the question is how to arrange it systematically, and what could be the better benefit of looking at them when we need them at the right moment. To get started, I'm going to jump onto the backlog to show you what is the problem, because unless we know the problem, we do not understand the worth of a solution. Right now, we are looking at a backlog, which consists of some of my test cases and some test executions as well. For example, I've got some tests from here which are X-ray test cases. These items represent another test issue type from Zephyr, which we are not talking about right now. I've got some tests here and I still want to create another set of tests. So let me just quickly create another quick test here, and I would say this is another X-ray test to validate the sign-up. The point here is I'm just creating a random test, so I have some set of test cases with me. Now let's go to see that. For example, if I must see here and if someone asks me like this, can you tell me how many of these tests are related to unit testing? Or maybe this, can you tell me what executions you made during Sprint 1? Then I may have to hop into each of the tests to investigate and identify by the sprint name when it was used or called into for the execution. Can you also tell me quickly what executions you performed when you were talking about Sprint 1 or Sprint 2? Now I see a backlog, which has very detailed information about what I'm doing. But the problem is, when it comes to executions, or when it comes to organizing things, I face challenges for sure. Now this is where the test repository functionality, or feature of our X-Ray, would be very helpful to organize our test cases in a very systematic manner, which would be very helpful to access information at any point in time. Let's click on the testing board on the left, which is the key aspect of our X-Ray functionality, and here you will be landing directly onto the test repository, which is provided as one of the X-Ray features. Now, the test repository by default will have a root folder called the test repository itself. In this mentioned folder, all your tests will be listed automatically with their status on it. So, we have 3 tests written already as a sample test, and we have all 3 statuses in the backlog status right now. The type of test which we are creating right now is manual, whereas the second type of test, which you can create in X-Ray, is a BDD cucumber test. Now, how to start setting up your repository to present the data in a very systematic manner. You can directly click here to create a folder, or you can just have when you have the tree here with a set of folders, you can even define them. If I must create a directory in a very systematic manner, I will do something like this. For example, I would just right-click here, and I would see that there are options to create a folder. I can see the issues, create tests right from here, and add an existing test. I can create a test set with tests included, or add tests to the test set afterward, and a lot of other things, which I can do right from here. Let's create a folder first here and call it out at the release level. I name it to release 1.0. By the way, if you've got a name for it, define the name appropriately. Click on Create. Now I see that there's a subfolder created here. There might be a possibility that you have already scheduled your upcoming releases. So, you can create the folder in advance because if in case you have written any test and you realize that this test will be not required to be executed as a part of the release 1.0, then you can directly place them in the next folder. Now selecting this folder release 1.0, which is currently empty, I'm going to create another folder under this, and I would call it out as Sprint 1, right? I'll click on Create Further. You can go ahead creating the same thing, and call out all your other sprints, right? Now you can go on to continue this story till the number of sprints your release 1.0 has. Now the question is, under the Sprint 1, how can I further organize my information or my test in a very systematic manner? Now, under the sprint, if you think you have further classifications, for example, categorizing unit tests separately, integration tests separately, or ad hoc tests separately, you can further break this folder down into subfolders. Again, let's click on Create Folder, and I would call it out as unit test cases or unit tests, right? And I would also call the next one an interface or integration test. And the third, I would also say what I'm doing here. Some of my ad hoc executions, which I do daily, or you can call it the sanity test or whatever you're performing. Now it makes more sense to me that if I want any information, I can always come to this hierarchy and figure out what number of tests are required. Now let's say, for example, if I come to the unit test, I see that this folder is empty. How to add a test to this folder? Right-click here and select Add Test. This is the general process of selecting the tests from your backlog or bringing them into this folder. Just drop down here, pick up MFP21 dropdown, MFP20, and click on Add Selected. Now, these items are moved from, if you observe, to the direct root folder to the unit test. This is how your systematic arrangement of the test can be done within the repository. Similarly, when you go on creating any other number of test cases, you can just keep organizing them right there. The moment it is created, by default, it will fall under the test repository. Then you must just come to the respective folder and drag them into that folder where they belong. Now at any point in time, if your manager or a project stakeholder is looking forward to understanding that, hey, can you tell me what total number of tests you had for the Sprint 1? Then at the Sprint 1 folder level, you will see the total count of the test. At the same time, if they ask you, can you tell me specifically that what number of tests were written for interface testing? Then you can just come here and quickly show them the list of tests. What do you have here now? That's how simple and more systematic your test management becomes, specifically in terms of creating your repository for the project, for all your sprints, or all your upcoming releases. As I told you at the root level, you can see that you can do a lot. You can add tests to the test set, you can add tests to the test plan, and you can add tests to the executions. All these options we have covered in our previous tutorials can be done right from here or by going to that issue type. That is a test execution, test plan, or a test set right on top of it. You also have options to filter your tests if you have many tests within a folder. At any point in time, if you're looking forward to searching for your item, you can immediately use all these custom criteria provided to you to search your specific test based on the test type, based on the labels, component priority, status, covering test set, covering fixed versions or saved filters if any. Similarly, on the advanced level, you can even make use of the JQL queries to quickly search if you find your basic being limited to certain specific criteria, right? For example, when you talk about the JQLs, you can search how many tests were executed in the last 24 hours and how many test cases are supposed to be executed in the next 2 days. Those kinds of criteria can only be fulfilled by the JQL, right? So we do have provisions to manage them or search them right here in our test repository. If you like it, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel, and click the bell. Never forget our upcoming sessions. If you have any questions or hints, please leave a comment. Our ISTQB, ITK, XRay, and TestRail certified QA experts will reply in time or even produce a separate video about your topic. Please also check out our other over 200 videos about software quality. Happy testing. See you next time.